So it's been really crazy to see just how quickly Romeo Doubs has made a name for himself here in Packers training camp. And it wasn't too long ago that the Packers drafted him in the 4th round. And already within the first, 8-9 days of practice, he's getting praise from Aaron Rodgers as well as Matt LaFleur, which I feel like we shouldn't take too lightly, because Aaron Rodgers isn't going to come out and start praising a receiver like that unless he really trusts him and really obviously wants to say that. And so to already see how good Romeo Doubs is looking in his first 2 weeks of Packers training camp is honestly really promising for, I think, what we could see from him coming into this season. Because we all know this offense is going to be much different than last year. As we've heard from Matt LaFleur as well as Aaron Rodgers, about 80% of the plays were designed for Davante Adams. And Aaron Rodgers said that most of the time, because most of his first reads were Davante Adams, and because Davante Adams got open so often, he said a lot of times, that's why Aaron Rodgers would always, throw the ball to Davante Adams. When you're getting open as often as Davante Adams is getting open, of course, Aaron Rodgers is going to decide to throw him the ball. A ton of the time. And so now coming to this year without Davante, we've all been wondering, what's this offense going to look like? Are they going to be a much more dependent on the run? Is this going to be a much more defensive team, which clearly this defense is going to be very good, probably the strength of this team. Not saying the offense isn't going to be good, because I still think they're going to be solid. But this defense, the fact that they're probably going to be, I'd say, a top 5 defense, considering last year we were 10th, and then you add a player like Quay Walker, who's already seeing tons of snaps, or who's already been starting alongside Devondre Campbell with the ones throughout pretty much all of Packers training camp, easily moved ahead of Chris Barnes, considering he's, such an insane athlete. And so it's going to be fun to see how he grows there. Devontae White also on the D-line, getting some work as well. So this team is a lot different than last year just because of the loss of Davante Adams. And so to see Romeo Doubs playing as he's playing, I do wonder, I was thinking this morning, is this going to translate into the season? Because clearly training camp practice is different than the season, and we'll have to see what happens when the lights come on, when Romeo Doubs is out there and gets his opportunity. But he's made the most of the opportunity so far. And so when we look at this offense and the loss of Davante Adams, and we look at this backfield, I think that we're going to pass the ball a lot more to these backs. The Packers and Aaron Rodgers have praised A.J. Dillon as well as Aaron Jones when it comes to their receiving ability. And so when we look at the receiver group, with Al Lazard, I'd say leading right now, just because he is the guy who's been here the longest. He's probably going to be targeted, I would say, the most, but I still think the ball is going to be spread around a lot more than we saw last year with Davante Adams, with him getting a majority of the targets. But now with him gone, the ball is going to be spread out a lot more to Alan Lazard. I think Randall Cobb also is going to have a pretty solid year as long as he can stay healthy, because he has that chemistry and rapport with Rodgers. And I still think he has some left in the tank, even though he's getting up there in age. I still think we're going to see him with the ball in his hands a ton. But also, too, with Sammy Watkins, the thing is with Sammy, he's made some plays in training camp. We've seen reports of him scoring touchdowns and stuff like that, and so that's good to see. But the fact that he already experienced a hamstring injury, he's fine now. But the fact that he already was dealing with that is a little concerning, because we've seen his injuries in the past, and to see those sort of continue here to start off, a little concerning. Also with Christian Watson, his knee injury, a little concerning. I like to say, I'm not worried at all, which the Packers are saying they're not worried about Christian Watson's injury. But just, I think, from dealing with David Bakhtiari and sort of what we've gone through with his injury and what he's had to deal with, it makes me, when I see a knee injury, be a little bit more like, okay, they're saying it's fine, but I'm a little, just a tad worried. Hopefully everything is okay. And I saw a picture of, I think Romeo Doubs made a great play, and Christian Watson jumped up next to him. So it seems like his knee's probably fine, and hopefully by the time the season starts, he's going to be able to come in and play. But Romeo Doubs has already built that chemistry with Rodgers, where Christian Watson hasn't had that time with Rodgers out there at Packers training camp like Romeo Doubs has. And so I do wonder, how long will it take with Romeo Doubs getting all these reps with Rodgers, and with Christian Watson not getting these reps, how much longer is it going to take for Rodgers to trust Christian Watson? And coming out of college, the talk of all the people in the draft area, all the scouts, because I'm definitely not a scout, but lots of people did say that they saw Christian Watson more as a raw prospect who could take some time to develop, where lots of people saw Romeo Doubs as a player that could be more polished right away. Brian Gutekunst said he's one of the more polished players, rookies here. And because we've seen that production from Doubs his last 2 years of college, I think 1,000 yards his past 2 seasons at Nevada. So he's been playing really well. He's had to carry that load there as the top wide receiver there. So he's had much more experience and much more time. And Christian Watson as well was in more of a running offense, so he didn't have as much opportunity as a guy like Romeo Doubs. And so when you add that to the fact, just with him being a polished player, with him already seeing that college production, and then you add in the fact that he's day after day shown that he is one of the best receivers here, I'd say, because it's probably a little bit more easy to say, like, to maybe be surprised by a great Romeo Doubs play as opposed to maybe an Allen Lazard play because Lazard has been here. But day after day, Doubs has had nice plays. And Rodgers said that he's had wow plays day after day. It's not just like one day. It's like very consistent. And as I've been reading through these reports and, reading the tweets on the reporters' tweets on this channel, it's like every single day, if you guys have watched those videos, there's at least a couple tweets of Romeo Doubs going up and making a very, very nice play. So I'm just getting used to it. Day one, it was like, wow, this is amazing. Romeo Doubs is looking really good. This is great. And then it's like day after day after day after day after day. So I'm wondering if Romeo Doubs could end up being one of the top weapons here for Rodgers. Before this training camp, I would have said, okay, probably not. Maybe Juwan Winfrey will be ahead of Doubs just because he has experience here. Maybe, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb. But the way that Doubs is looking, I wouldn't be shocked to see him come in here and, could he be Rodgers' top weapon? I was asking myself that question this morning. And honestly, if he keeps playing like he's playing, maybe he could be. I don't know if he's going to take that because he's still young, and Allen Lazard has that experience, and he's been really good when Rodgers has targeted him in the past, and so I still think Lazard will probably be the number one guy, but maybe Doubs can be, guy number two. We saw his speed against Eric Stokes. I posted that video here on this channel of him with his nice footwork beating Eric Stokes on the outside. It was like 1v1s, and then adjusting to the ball. And Eric Stokes is insanely fast. I think he runs like a 4.25, 4.29 40, and Doubs had him beat, and Stokes didn't catch up to him. And so, considering that as well, we lost MVS as a deep threat. And so, Doubs, I think, can come in and fill that role. In college, I think he averaged around 14 or 15 yards per catch. So, he also has that deep threat ability. And we've heard from, I think it was Gutekunst or someone else, maybe LaFleur, that Romeo Doubs can win in multiple ways. He's not a one-dimensional player. Like a player like MVS was sort of more of a one-dimensional player. Sure, he could do a little bit of other stuff, but he was more of that deep threat. But Doubs seems like he can be a deep threat. He can be an intermediate threat. He just seems very dangerous as well with the ball in his hands. And also, too, what I love about Doubs is you can just see, if you watch some of his interviews, you can see how humble he is, how hardworking he is. Matt LaFleur said that, I think it's LaFleur. I get confused as to who's saying all these things, but someone said about Romeo Doubs that he's been one of the first guys there, and he's working insanely hard and getting things down. So when you add a player who's already had all that experience in college, being that top weapon, being productive in 2 back-to-back seasons in college, and then you add in the fact that Gutekunst says he's one of the most polished guys coming out, and then you add in just his work ethic and how humble he is, and he's willing to work for everything. Everything is pointing to Doubs becoming a very, very legit wide receiver. And who knows what happens year one? Maybe because he is a rookie, he takes more time, and maybe the training camp hype, maybe he doesn't live up to it in this season. Maybe he does. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But this just gives me excitement, not only for this year, but for years to come, because, we've been wondering, okay, Devontae's gone. What's our wide receiver situation going to look like? And because the Packers were able to get, a first and second round draft pick in the draft to get Christian Watson, to get Romeo Doubs, I think the Packers wide receiver core is going to be fine for the next few seasons. And as Watson and Doubs grow in this offense, I think this offense is going to, Doubs could be, a legit wide receiver in the NFL. So it's very exciting to see, and I'm really excited to see what Doubs does in preseason, what Doubs does in the regular season as well. But when it comes to preseason, maybe Rodgers isn't playing, so who knows what we'll see. Hopefully Jordan Love can look really nice out there, because if Rodgers decides to retire after a year or even 2 years, Love could be thrown to Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, and we'll have a very different offense here in Green Bay. But things are looking up right now for this Packers offense, especially with Romeo Doubs emerging as he is, and I'll keep you guys up to date and sort of see how he continues to grow, how he continues to play here in this Packers offense. But that is going to be it for this video. I appreciate all you guys, as always, for watching these. I love making them, and so it's fun to put these out there. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe. And I also have a second channel, an NFL channel, where I'm starting to post more NFL content over there. I try to post 2 videos a day on this channel. And so lots of times I'm trying to post a third onto that NFL channel, so I don't get to it almost every day. I try to, and I'm going to try to stay somewhat consistent on that channel as I stay consistent on this channel as well. So if you want to see more NFL content, feel free to go check that one out, Sideline Scoop NFL. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.